I was not always an Eastern Orthodox Christian. In fact, for most of my life, I was an atheist. I grew up in a secular family that did not practice any religion or believe in God. I was taught to value science, reason, and logic over faith and superstition. I thought that religion was a crutch for weak people who could not face the reality of a cold and indifferent universe. I became an atheist when I was a teenager, after reading books by famous atheists like Richard Dawkins, Christopher Hitchens, and Sam Harris. They convinced me that religion was not only false, but also harmful and immoral. They argued that religion was the source of violence, oppression, and ignorance in the world, and that it hindered the progress of humanity. They claimed that atheism was the only rational and moral position to take, and that anyone who disagreed with them was either deluded or dishonest. I embraced atheism with zeal and passion. I felt superior to religious people, whom I considered irrational and ignorant. I felt liberated from the shackles of dogma and authority. I felt free to live my life as I pleased, without any fear of judgment or consequences. I thought that I had found the truth, and that nothing could shake my confidence. But I soon realized that atheism had its own challenges and problems. I faced existential questions that atheism could not answer satisfactorily. Questions like, why do I exist? What is the meaning of my life? What is the basis of morality? How do I cope with suffering and death? How do I find happiness and fulfillment? Atheism offered me no answers to these questions, only bleak and nihilistic responses. Atheism told me that I existed by chance, that my life had no intrinsic meaning or purpose, that morality was subjective and relative, that suffering and death were inevitable and meaningless, and that happiness and fulfillment were illusions or distractions. I tried to ignore these questions, or to find solace in worldly pleasures and pursuits. But I could not escape the nagging feeling that something was missing in my life. That there was more to reality than what atheism could explain or offer. That there was a hunger in my soul that atheism could not satisfy. I became restless and unhappy. I felt empty and lost. I felt alone and hopeless. I was raised in an atheist family, and I never had any interest in religion or spirituality. I thought that science and reason were enough to explain everything and that faith was just a crutch for weak people. I was happy with my life and I didn't see any need for God. But everything changed when I encountered Eastern Orthodoxy. It happened by chance, when I was visiting a friend in Greece. He invited me to join him for a Sunday service at his local Orthodox church. I agreed, out of curiosity and politeness, but I didn't expect much from it. I was amazed by what I saw and heard. The church was beautiful, filled with icons, candles, and incense. The liturgy was ancient, solemn, and majestic. The choir sang in harmony, creating a heavenly atmosphere. The priest preached with wisdom and compassion, explaining the meaning of the scriptures and the teachings of the church. The people were friendly, devout, and joyful. They greeted me warmly and invited me to share a meal with them after the service. I felt something stirring in my heart that day. Something that I had never felt before. A sense of awe, wonder, and peace. A sense of belonging, of being part of something bigger than myself. A sense of longing, of wanting to know more about this faith and this community. I started to explore Eastern Orthodoxy more deeply. I read books, watched videos, listened to podcasts, and visited websites. I learned about its history, doctrine, spirituality, and culture. I learned about its continuity with the Apostolic Church, its fidelity to the 7 ecumenical councils, its rich liturgical tradition, its diversity of autocephalous churches, its reverence for the saints and the holy icons, its emphasis on prayer and fasting, its respect for creation and human dignity, its balance between faith and reason, its openness to mystery and paradox. I was attracted by everything I learned. Eastern Orthodoxy seemed to offer a holistic and authentic way of living as a Christian. It seemed to answer all my questions and satisfy all my desires. It seemed to be the true church that Christ founded. I decided to become an Orthodox Christian. I contacted a local priest and asked him to guide me in my journey. He welcomed me with kindness and patience. He taught me the basics of the faith and prepared me for baptism. He introduced me to other Orthodox Christians who supported me and befriended me. After several months of catechism, I was baptized and chrismated in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. It was the happiest day of my life. I felt reborn as a child of God. I felt embraced by the love of Christ and His Church. That's how I encountered Eastern Orthodoxy and what attracted me to its teachings and practices. It was a life-changing experience that transformed me from an atheist to a believer. It was a gift that I will always cherish and share with others.